companies owed its members. On Monday, another group of suppliers, the Institutional Suppliers Association, also complained about government's indebtedness to them, now leading to a 14-day ultimatum to government to address their concerns. Speaking to 3FM News, the executive director of EduWatch, Kofi Asare, says government should eat the humble pie and ask for parental support for the implementation of the free senior high school program.
It's been very obvious from day one that government was not going to be able to feed and clothe and house everyone, rich or poor, in senior high school because of this wholesale free senior high school program. I think what government should do is what government already knows, but perhaps finds it difficult to admit for political reasons. Government should just cancel the contract of all these uniform suppliers. We don't need them. I don't think the average parent in Ghana cannot afford 120 Ghana cedis worth of a pair of uniforms for their wards in senior high school, especially when that same ward was having a pair of uniforms when they were in junior high school. Government shouldn't bite more than it can chew. It's time for government to just eat humble pie and allow parents to take care of the aspects of the program that parents can reasonably.
You heard the voice of the executive director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, speaking there. To some other stories this morning, rather disturbing ones. An armed man ambushed a bus outside of Binduri on Tuesday night, leaving one person dead and several others injured with various degrees. According to eyewitnesses, the armed men opened fire on the fully loaded bus, instantly killing the driver and injuring some of the passengers to varying degrees. Before fleeing the area, the attackers reportedly set the car on fire as it traveled from Tamale to Boko. The injured have subsequently been sent to Boko Presbyterian Hospital along with the deceased. In response to distress calls, the Ghana National Fire Service, the police and the military arrived and put out the fire. It was unclear what surprised and what spurred the heinous deed. According to the residents, Boko has been the target of gunfire for the past 5 days, leading to the death of 8 people. That's rather a sad development coming from the Boko area. Well, in a related development, the military have intensified public sensitization in Boko with a view of getting them to facilitate a lasting solution to the deadly conflict. At least 8 persons have been reportedly killed in fresh sporadic shooting within the last 5 days. Several others were also injured around Sakbare, Zogo and Woodmoza. The community engagement was to preach peace to among more than 3,000 pupils and their teachers at the Boko Senior High School. Colonel Lenkibewa urged students to develop good neighborliness and to share the same with their parents in order to promote peaceful coexistence in the municipality.
See those who want to cause harm to the individuals. See those who want to stop us or who want us to make us sleep around 6. See the ones who want to deny us 2-4 development, 24/7 development. See them and say something. When you see them, say something to somebody who is paid to what? Make sure that they fish them out. When you see a stranger who does not belong to the community and want to cause harm, say something. When we do that, collectively in no time and within 1 day, when we all change our minds, we can make Boko peaceful.
Away from the northern part of the country, 2 people sustained machete wounds following a clash between traders and macho men at the Kutia line in the Aswasi municipality. The bloody scene saw people run for cover. Stay with us here on 3FM 92.7 in the subsequent bulletins where we'll bring you details of that unfortunate incident in the Ashanti region. But moving on to some other stories, and the Ghana Journalists Association has served notice that it will urge its members to blacklist security agencies whose officers continue to attack journalists in their line of duty. According to the GA, 10 journalists, including 2 workers from the state broadcaster GTV, are among people attacked by some military and immigration service personnel in the first 2 quarters of the year. President of the association, Albert Kwame Jomfo, does not comprehend why the Interior Minister is mute over the constant attacks on journalists by his men. He said the GGA will not hesitate to blacklist security services that will not prioritize, the safety of journalists.
And we can also petition SRAJ when we feel that our right has been, violated. And aside or if we think they are not cooperating, we can blacklist them. can go blackout on them when the need arises. So what we are trying to say is that we will not stand here all the time issuing statements and be reading press statement and then allow the issues to slack.
You hear the voice of the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Jumfo, speaking there. To some other stories this morning, and food inflation has been a significant driver for Ghana's double-digit inflation over the last 1 year, as government reiterates continued efforts to tackle food production to lessen the burden on Ghanaians. Recent global trends point to potential worsening food situation in the country. Russia on Monday said it was withdrawing from an agreement to allow grain exports from Ukraine through the Black Sea. Now, the agreement until this decision has helped stabilize global food prices and alleviate shortages in parts of Africa and the Middle East. But Professor of Economics and Finance at the University of Ghana, Professor Godfrey Bokwin, says Ghana should develop measures to become food sufficient.
The perfect feedback on government intervention of granting for food and jobs is actually these global shocks. If we had done it well, we would have seen the true effects of that policy intervention. The important question we need to ask the government is that where is the food and where are the jobs? This is the time to demonstrate the efficacy of that intervention. As you can see, and like many other flagship programs, it actually benefited the privileged few, while the majority look on.
Professor of Economics, Professor Godfrey Bobkin speaking there. Now, before we go, government says a resource local production of medical oxygen to end the periodic scarcity of oxygen. At the launch of the National Oxygen Policy, Chief of Staff Akosia Fremo-Paris said government will ensure that oxygen plants with bed capacity of over 100 will be well resourced to produce oxygen on site across the country. The National Oxygen Policy has the objective to regulate the availability and use of medical oxygen in the country.
The government will ensure the creation of an enabling environment for local production of liquid and gaseous medical grade oxygen in commercial quantities to make medical oxygen affordable.
Chief of Staff Akosia Fremo-Paris says speaking there. Meanwhile, the Health Minister Kweku Adjumanu says government will ensure strict monitoring systems to bring the policy to life.
My interest in formulating policies to give clear guidance to work of the ministry is just not the writing and publishing a nice document to be lodged. I made a fanfare, but rather to see the implementation of the document. For this reason, a strategic action plan has also been developed to give guidance to the implementation of the policy.
Kweku Adjumanu is the Minister of Health. Now that ends the morning news here on 3FM 92.7. There's always more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Please stay with us and enjoy the rest of our programs. Coming up next is Sunrise. Good morning.